So, I am really delighted to have a very special guest for you today on my show. And we are going to be talking about information overload, stress, psychological warfare, and how keeping us sick and dumbed down is all part of the plan. But most importantly, what we can do about it. So, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my guest. Troy Casey, the certified healther, has been a friend for quite a few years now, and Troy is really a leading authority on longevity, restoring physical, mental, and emotional balance with a nature based holistic approach. A formerly Versailles model in Milan, Troy explored nutrition and internal purification to maintain his health. His global journey includes working with Amazonian tribes, studying Vipassana meditation and Ashtanga yoga, and collaborating with the amazing Paul Chek at the Chek Institute. He's an author, and his book, Ripped at 50, A Journey to Self Love, which is amazing, has transformed lives worldwide. And now, with his Knowledge of Self University and Fit and Free, the legacy methods, Troy's mission has really evolved. And so, whilst he remains committed to individual biohacking, his now broader vision aims for a world thriving on clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems. And like quite a few of us, Troy, I think you believe that a systemic overhaul that prioritizes creativity over competition and a collective rise in consciousness is needed. So, a big welcome. How are you doing today, and what is happening in your world?
Yes, well, thank you for having me back, Catherine, and it's always good to see you. And so, yeah, I am here to stay healthy and hug and love on my children and do the best that I can. And with the amount of influence and affluence that I've been gifted in the modern world, I do believe it's my responsibility. It's a huge responsibility on those that have any a semblance of freedom right now. It's up to us to make a difference in the world. And so I'll be speaking at the Independent National Convention this week with Dr. Zach Bush. RFK Jr. was going to be there, but he has joined the whole Trump train and running on chronic disease, which is what I'm aligned with. Part of their new campaign is MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. My vision is to get the world healthy. Currently, we're dealing with many debilitating statistics and chronic disease. And this is a direct correlation to the environment that we have trashed, much beyond global warming and climate change, which are politically and economically hijacked um, uh, ideas. And so for me, it's always come down since I came out of the rainforest 2006, almost 20 years ago. It has to do with respect and reverence for the environment and creating systems that are conducive for life itself, and which is aligned with the scientific term biomimicry. And so I continue each day to raise as much awareness on that, starting out with the individual, myself first, becoming healthy, and then, of course, connecting to the we, my own community, my family, and then the all. We're all connected, and no one's free until we're all free.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And having known you for a long while, I know that you certainly walk the talk in all that you do. And I've just finished a really interesting discussion with Kathy O'Brien and Ollie Damagard, and we were really talking. I wanted to continue and get your thoughts on the whole psychological warfare, because how much do you think that most people actually realize that they're under mind control and have been their whole lives, that so much of what they've been fed is a complete fallacy? Um, Talk us through where you're at with that, Troy.
Well, I do believe in my studies from, let's see, we've got MK Ultra, we've got MK Ultra, Operation Paperclip, Operation Mockingbird, and RFK speaks about this, especially in his newer books about Fauci and the Wuhan situation. There has been a lot of clandestine activity, biological warfare, psychological warfare. Basically, in World War II and World War I, there was a lot of collateral damage as far as buildings. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we basically melted those cities. Most of Europe was destroyed. Even London, the area that you're in, I mean, the Blitzkrieg bombs. And so this created a lot of collateral damage and kind of ruined the surface of the earth, and also really scarred human beings with trauma, especially if you look at Bruce Lipton's body of work in epigenetics. And so if your grandfather or great grandfather saw incredible carnage in World War I, World War II, you're going to hold that in your nervous system, in your DNA, and it's going to express itself in one way or another. And so there was a book and a movie called Men That Stare at Goats, and they wanted to study how the mind works and metaphysical and supernatural phenomenon and see what type of psychological warfare that they could get away with. And so Operation Mockingbird is propaganda. It is to get the media to parrot the same level of propaganda. And Edward Bernays wrote the book on propaganda in the early 20th century. And Edward Bernays was Freud's nephew. And Adam Curtis did an incredible BBC documentary called The Century of Self. You can still find it on YouTube. And it details, you know, how the mind works and the repetition of propaganda, which is also marketing, which is also public relations, television advertising, even news reports. This has been a pay for play. If you want to get news attention, you can pay for it, just like advertising in the commercials. And so very subversive, and people think it's factual information because it's coming from the media. And so we have been sold this death wish that you are not enough and the world is scarce. And so they play us in the media game, and you have to look at the multinational conglomerates that own the media, the pharmaceutical companies, the big agribusiness companies, the war and weapons manufacturers that's traded through Vanguard, BlackRock. These types of things really own and dominate the world, and there's a certain handful of people that are pulling the strings for those, and they fund the lobbyists that influence the politicians to write the laws. And this is the world that we have created. Part of it has to also do with manifest destiny, to where we can, you know, conquer foreign lands and control them. You saw this with the British Empire that went in, the Spanish that went into Latin America, British Empire that went into India, Africa. We also colonized the United States of America. And so this is down with control and manipulation. It runs very, very deep. And we are going through a collective awakening with human consciousness. And so Yuri Brezhnev, who was a KGB operative that worked as a journalist, he also in the 80s detailed this. And so first you psychologically confuse people with ideas of feminism, and I'm all for women's empowerment, human empowerment, but not to the detriment of the family unit. And so we've been sold this whole bill of goods, these ideologies of kind of liberal groupthink, if you will, because I fed into it as well when I was younger. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. My mother didn't work till 1979. Gloria Steinem worked with the CIA. Her big second wave of feminism was 1973. And so you know, it runs deep. But Yuri Brezhnev said, you know, first demoralize people, sell them hookup culture, pornography, feminism, right? We don't need the family unit, fend for yourself, individualism. And so this is a classic element of divide and conquer, which is in the Marxist manifesto and the Communist manifesto. And so basically sell the commons back to the state and let the state run everything, and everybody, but everyone will be equal, right? Diversity, inclusion, and equity, right? Everybody will be equal. But this is not what we have. What we have right now is a mini Hunger Games. Or if you're living in Gaza, or if you're living in Syria or Libya or Yemen, this is the real Hunger Games, right? Iraq, Afghanistan, anywhere there is oil or natural resources or a geopolitical stronghold to get those natural resources to market. So Panama, the Panama Canal, getting natural resources out of the Amazon. And that was a big part of my bent, right? I was drinking ayahuasca with the Shipibo Indians studying herbalism in the Amazon about 20 years ago. And I witnessed the deforestation, lumber industries, oil industries, pushing my friends and vendors off of their own homeland, right? I witnessed this. And I also know how important that ecosystem is for ecological disaster on this planet, right? The coral reefs, all the forests worldwide. We get to do things in a sustainable way now, aligned with biomimicry. I postulate that we can live in a harmonious, balanced ecosystem and with each other, right? I postulate, yes, peace is possible. I completely postulate that. But what is up for change are all the systems that are keeping this dysfunction in place, poisoning the commons. That's all scientifically validated, and it's legislated that it's a-okay to do business this way. When, and this is again a big part of what RFK is up about. And I'm an apolitical person. No one's coming to save us. But I do like what Bobby Kennedy has done at fighting corporate polluters and suing Merck for the MMR vaccine and winning, and suing Monsanto for glyphosate and Roundup Ready and winning to the tune of multi-billion-dollar lawsuits and then settling. And Monsanto doing a PR exchange and merging with Bayer, so you don't even know, Monsanto doesn't even have a name anymore. So the younger people don't even know about this, right? And so all these things that I'm talking about, we've created so much complexity in the world today. And my solution, my ideas are the antidote for complexity is always simplicity. And how can we get back to nature as much as possible? And nature, man has always told stories around the fire. And currently, these technology that we have, these cell phones, this is fire. This is electricity. This is energy, right? Plugged into the wall. And this is our ability to sit around the fire and tell stories. And so the story I am telling is that we can create peace. We can create harmony on this planet. We can do things in a sustainable way, aligned with biomimicry, aligned with natural principles.
I love it. And it's fantastic you're meeting Zach Bush. And I think the great thing is so much work. I mean, you're an expert on working with the human body, but so much work with nature has shown actually when we get out of the way, the amazing regenerative powers. And it just down the road from us, we've got a really good regenerative site, and it's recovered so much quicker from commercial agriculture than anyone thought was possible. It's absolutely fantastic at Neb Castle. But
we could change things in a blink of an eye, Catherine. We're being sold bullshit that it's going to take forever and we're always going to burn oil and we're always going to be attached to the petrodollar. Look at the history of currencies. Currencies don't often last 100, maximum 100, 150 years or so. And so we can change things in a blink of an eye. Innovation, entrepreneurialism, innovation can change things. And Buckminster Fuller said, you don't fight the existing system. You design the future, and that will fall away to the wayside.
It's so, so true. And I think there's so much of humanity that has been made sick physically, emotionally, spiritually. How much do you think that's by design? And again, with all the work that you've done working with people of all ages, all sorts of health conditions, what has really surprised you about the power of recovery of the human body and of nature?
Well, the mind, we coalesce into the material realm from the spiritual to the emotional to the mental to the physical, right? This is a physical manifestation of energy and matter. And so if you're playing at the mental level with this propaganda, with these ideas, also dismantling people's understanding of how life works on planet Earth, like anybody can be a man or a woman if they just cut off their genitalia. I like the meme that says, you know, how can you not be defined by biology, yet cutting your biology off will define you, right? It's like we've lost our frigging minds for this type of backwards ideology, and this is weakening us at the spiritual level if we don't know what up or down is, right? We can't figure out. There's two forces guiding everything on the planet: yin and yang, masculine, feminine, inhalation, exhalation, catabolic, anabolic. You can't have one without the other in this dualistic paradox. And so changing ideas of reality is going to undermine us spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And mind is an embodied process. So we are all coalesced ideas into the physical realm. And so this type of subversive advertising via the media channels, propaganda, etc., this can undermine the whole species. But I like what Paul Chek says. He spoke at the TMJ conference in London many years ago, and he quoted a famous scientist. He said, if 100 years wipes out 1,000 years of truth, then the converse is true. 10 years of truth can wipe out 100 years of nonsense. Let's get busy on that. And that's exactly what we're doing. There's plenty of people that know the truth, that are living a holistic, natural lifestyle, that can be living testaments of the truth. Bullshit, we've got to sell it to ourselves. We've got to sell it on the news. The scientists have become the prostitutes of the modern era. And so everything's scientifically validated, but people are still fat, sick, and nearly dead. So again, this goes down to propaganda. This goes down to psychological warfare, tricking the human mind, manipulation, ideas of control. Look, Mao Zedong was onto this. In fact, Shepard Fairey, the artist, utilized a lot of his iconography in his artwork with Andre the Giant. Obey, right? Obey what the posters say, and then obey what the TV has to say as well. The problem with Shepard Fairey is he's become a propagandist, and so but all art is subversive. And I truly believe that my storytelling around the fire here on social media can also infect and get inside the human mind and inspire us to get back to fundamental basics, fundamental nature. And so, again, this whole subversive element of confusing people. Now you see this happening in the United States with critical race theory, this whole gender bending idea. Some states have allowed children to divorce their parents and go and get these gender reassignment surgeries as a child. Can you imagine the craziness of this is now being allowed? And then you've got factions and globalist factions like the World Economic Forum and Davos and they're giving these local mayors and these local governors, they're giving them, I don't know, but they're it's like they're paying them money. George Soros is giving them money. I lived in Sedona for a while, and the local mayor would go to these conventions with other mayors, and they would be wined and dined and talked all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And those are all good terms, but not how they're teaching them, right? And I just think it's mass confusion and via propaganda. Let's also who was a big propagandist. Well, Hitler had Joseph Goebbels, and Joseph Goebbels was a student of Edward Bernays, and Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and Sigmund Freud figured out all this technology around your orifices, your connection with your mother, your connection with your father. And this is the way television advertising and public relations, it plays you at your hormones, right? If you don't brush your teeth with the fluoride toothpaste that is basically poison, then you're not going to get the girl, right? You're not going to get, it's all implied. And then they use the news programs to send you fear. If we don't send billions of dollars to the Russians or these people or those people, then they're going to come away and steal your freedom. And so it's literally nuts. It is literally nuts. I encourage any of your listeners that are not fully understanding to study Operation Paperclip, to study MK Ultra, to study Operation Mockingbird. Operation Paperclip took all the Nazi scientists and the Japanese scientists that were doing human experiments and brought all that technology and higher ups of the Nazi party and put them in the media in the United States, the pharmaceutical companies, and NASA. Look into that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we've got to a stage where you and I is very similar age, and we grew up having to move a lot. We didn't have the technology. We all exercised a lot more. We had to, and now people have been encouraged to be so sedentary, so isolated. They can't get access to proper food. They don't even know what proper food anymore. The priorities are so screwed up that no one's got time to cook anymore. In terms of some of your tips about, so if someone's finding themselves in that situation, and look, there's no shame in it. There's been a very long-standing agenda to get people in that situation. But where do people start? Because it can seem so overwhelming for a lot of people if they are overweight, if they are sick, if they are demoralized, if they don't feel that they've got the mental strength to do it. Where do you start with people? Because you work with this sort of area a lot.
Well, the way I work with men and women is first, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be whole? Men over 60 have, I think, more than a 50% potential for getting prostate cancer. Is that what you want? Statistically, I think Americans, I don't know how it is in Europe, but statistically, I think chronic disease is like 70%. You've got people that are on pills and drugs across the board, whether they're psych meds or pain pills. You've also got problems like fentanyl. You got alcohol. You've got all these socially acceptable medications, right? Alcohol, porn, social media. So the question you want to ask yourself, you want to look in the mirror, use the best diagnostic tool ever, right? Look in the mirror or look in the toilet bowl. Do you like what you see? Do you like, look at your life. Do you like the creations? Do you see what's happening in the world with the poisoning of the commons? Do you want to make a difference? Well, you start by making a difference with yourself first. So first and foremost, what do you want? What is your dream? What is your purpose here on life? What is your legacy? What are your gifts that you are here to give? You're not an automaton, right? You're a child of God. You're an all-knowing, self-healing mechanism. And so get back to basics. You're going to need nutrition right now. Your body's bones, eyeballs, all made out of the earth, right? Minerals, vitamins, enzymes, collected through biophotonic light, the energy of the sun. So you can get sun and that type of nutrition directly. You can get direct nutrition from oxygen, prana. So optimizing your breathing mechanics, getting sunlight, you're electromagnetic. So get into the magnetism of the earth, thin your blood by getting into the dirt, hugging a tree, actually getting that electromagnetism to flow through you, right? And so, so getting back to nature in as many facets as possible. Body needs to move. A stagnant body of water turns into a cesspool. Body needs to sleep. That's the anabolic phase, the feminine phase, the restoration phase of life. People want boosted testosterone. Get some sleep, right? Optimize your circadian rhythms. And so these are fundamental principles, and this is everything that I teach. There's nothing new under the sun. Just because Edward Bernays and you know all this public relations and advertising and news reports has confused and bamboozled you and got you away from your own soul, you know, that doesn't mean you can't flip that coin around and get back to basics, right? Everybody knows that we are wired to the celestial realm. Melatonin comes out when the moon comes out. Cortisol comes out when the sun comes up. And so get back to natural fundamental principles. Body needs to move, body needs sleep. Body is mostly water. Better get some pure water. You're like 70% water. Your brain's like 90% water. So it's like, these are just basic understandings. Get right back to basics. Yes, I have some good hydrogen water right here. And so we are all connected to nature. We are nature. We're in symbiotic relationship with everything and everyone. So it's a good idea to make peace with ourselves so we can make peace with the world. Because at the heart level, at the fundamental level of all human beings, we all want peace. Yet we are programmed and wired to create and play around with all this fuckery, all this bullshit. We're bullshitting ourselves. So again, back to the mirror. What do you want? Who are you? What do you want to do? What is your dream? What is your vision of the future? What is your purpose? You are a child of God, whether you recognize it or not. You're staring, hopefully naked, literally and figuratively, into the mirror. Who are you? What do you want? And so that's where I like to start. That's why I call my program the legacy method. And at the end of the day, once you figure out your legacy and the gift that you're here to give, right? You're not a mistake, right? You are worthy, you are valid, right? So you're not a mistake. So what is it that you're here to imprint and leave on the planet? This is a powerful time of awakening. We need each other. You are a walking miracle, right? People are looking for miracles and they're walking around in one.
Yeah.
And we must never forget this. And so cut away the bullshit, right? Our grandmothers always told us, you know, the TV was an idiot box, right? And now we have these TVs and we're scrolling constantly unconsciously. So but we can use them for good. That's why I tell people, if you want to lower your stress levels, balance out your hormones, etc., then get off social media. It's a complete stress, unless you're doing good with it. Like you have a podcast, you're connecting with other healthy people. Otherwise, if you can't get off of it, because it is a major stress, electromagnetism, as well as the psychological stress, then join me in business. Catherine's doing good business as well. Join her. Help join the army of spreading the word, getting back to nature as much as possible. We must replenish the soil. This is the future of humanity. And so things are up for change, and we all know it at the heart level.
You're so true. I think we do know it. I think everyone knows it. And I think there can be this savior complex where everyone's looking for someone to come in and save them, but people know deep down that that's not going to happen anymore. I mean, if people are still tempted to go down that route, what's your message to them about don't wait for someone else to save you?
Well, no one is coming to save you. Anybody that's working inside these governmental structures, this is antiquated systems. And so we are evolving beyond, I truly believe we are evolving beyond borders, beyond passports, beyond prisons. We are all one or none. We are all children of God. We are in a competitive state. We can work like nature does in cooperation. And ultimately, life eats life, right? This is the biological atmosphere that we're living in here. However, we're the only species that creates pollution.
Yeah.
And so we can create things in a different way. Otherwise, I think, spiritually, we can probably just be recycled and go into the next phase of our existence karmically. If you believe in reincarnation, I do believe that there is no death. We just go into another dimension. These are high philosophical thoughts. I just say, if you're listening to this right now, you are part of the transformation of consciousness. You are part of the change. And we must, unify with each other and come around the fire on fundamental principles and the four human needs, which are fire, water, food, and shelter. And then the common human heritage is the air, the water, and the soil. These are all important. And the commons have been contaminated by us. It's time to take responsibility for us. How can I take care of my own real estate? Let me clean my side of the street. Gandhi said, become the change you wish to see in the world. So get down with your bad self. It's time to do exactly that. You are responsible. You are responsible for your own reality. No one's coming to save us. We've already seen, I like the idea of Donald Trump coming to save us, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. But he already had 4 years of that. Now, whether the systems are too entrenched and big that he can't change, and that, they pulled this Russia thing or whatever psyop was going on, I don't know. But the bottom line is he didn't drain the swamp.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Sure, anything's possible. Do I support making America great again? Absolutely, that's a great concept. Do I support making America healthy again? Absolutely. Does RFK fight corporate crime and corporate pollution and have a track record for that? Absolutely. Does he have good documentation of the FBI and the CIA working in clandestine operations, Dr. Fauci and all that stuff? Absolutely. I mean, he's got reams of documents on that. Absolutely. Do I know every little political and economic move that these people have made? No, I don't. I don't claim to know that. And so, I'm not waiting for these politicians or the antiquated system to change the world. I know that I am imbued with the power of the Creator, and I have a huge responsibility. So let me please change myself first, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to apologize for my transgressions against other people? How can I do the best I can in my own neck of the woods? How can I create less pollution myself while living in the modern world and transitioning? And so I think we're all doing the best we can, but I think if we all rise up to a higher level of consciousness and understand our responsibility, I believe that we can change the world in the blink of an eye. I do believe that voting with your dollars is the transition point currently.
Yeah.
I also believe using your voice, right? Your God-given voice on this transformation, calling a spade. What we're seeing on the commercial conduits in media is an absolute lie. It's inverted bullshit. It's inverted, lies. It's absolute like deception. And so these are lies, and life can be done in a different way. I am living proof of that. I'm almost 60 years old. I don't have, chronic disease. I'm part of the environment as well. I still have my challenges, right? And so, but I vote with my dollars. I invest all my money in my health and in my health business.
Hear, hear. I love it. Agree with absolutely all of that. So we can't finish without tell people how they can actually work with you. Obviously, all your links will be below, but tell us what you offer in your programs.
So I encourage everyone to begin within. We start within. And so I've created an online school called Knowledge of Self University. All knowledge is ultimately knowledge of self. And so, who are we? Again, the body moves. So it's a good idea to understand movement, biomechanics, basic fundamental principles, breathing mechanics, understanding gratitude and forgiveness, and the fundamental spiritual aspects of life. And so I've created multiple programs inside Knowledge of Self University, and it's a community of like-minded individuals. I not only have my certified health nut coaches that are in there, also I have special guests that come in there and teach. And so for, I think it's $9 a month, people can be a part of that. And then it unlocks programs that I have. My Ripped at 50 Deluxe program, which teaches people the 9 pillars of health, the 7 factors of stress. It has my book, Ripped at 50, in there, as well as all my curriculum. You can download for free, right? You don't even have to join my online university. You can download for free the 9 pillars of health. You can put that checklist up on your refrigerator to remind you each day these basic fundamental principles for living on planet Earth, what you need to know to be healthy. And so, and then from there, we have my vitality program, we have my breathwork program. And then if you want to work with me directly, coaching, we have my legacy method, Fit and Free, the legacy method. And so everything that you need to know and do and be to complete your legacy on this planet, that comes with an hour. It comes with a one-on-one session with me. Oftentimes it's more than an hour to get really clear on your gifts as a human being and what you truly desire from your heart, not from my mind and how you're going to monetize it, or your mind and how you're going to monetize it, but truly what your effortless genius is and the gifts that you are here to give. That's my unique gift as a coach, is to help people really understand that in a short amount of time. And then that gives us our due north. When you have a dream big enough, there's no need for crisis. And so the legacy method also trains you to become a certified health nut. Not everybody that joins that program wants to use that certificate to go out and help others, but you have become certified when you graduate from that program. It's an 11-week program. And then from there, we are advancing more courses, and we have teams. I've got my Wellness Warriors team and my affiliated products that I work with. And you can work with us there as an entrepreneur. And I also do entrepreneurial training. And we're developing more retreats and in-person programs from there. So Knowledge of Self University all the way up into the legacy method.
Absolutely love it. And there's something for everyone there. There really is. And the one thing I would say to everyone watching this is do something different. If you want to change your life, you need to do something different. If you want the world to change, you need to do something different. So yeah, Troy, you're absolutely amazing. I love it. I'll be putting all your links below. Thank you so much. Any final words that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, I had a vision in 2006. So yes, humanity makes it, right? Through the eye of the needle, the eye of the storm. And we're in the middle of the storm. Everything's inverted and upside down. I think the Bible talks about this, these times. And so just know that you are part of the solution. You are the miracle. you are the sound of reason that everyone's looking for. Wake up to that.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Troy. I'm sure we'll be back again soon, and thanks everyone for
Thank you so
listening.
much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.